Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Every Muslim has heard of Jahannam, but not many people understand its reality. If you were to ask a person to describe Jahannam, then they would commonly explain it as being the fire of hell, a place that's very hot and filled with fire wherein people will be punished. But that's not entirely accurate, because Jahannam is a lot more than just that. The Christians have a saying when they want to describe something as being impossible. They say it doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. But the reality is that Jahannam doesn't only have fire. Jahannam has ice too. Severe, freezing ice. That is why on cold days we are told to ask Allah for protection from Jahannam. Min zamhariri Jahannam, from the freezing cold of Jahannam. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that Allah had permitted Jahannam to take two breaths, one in summer and one in winter. So the excessive heat that we get from is when Jahannam breathes out the heat, and the excessive cold is when Jahannam breathes out coldness. As for Jahannam itself, then contrary to what people think about Jahannam being a place, it's not exactly a place. Jahannam is a thing. It's a real, loving, breathing, speaking, seeing and hearing creation of Allah. And there are numerous ayat and ahadith which has mentioned this. Allah mentions in Surah Furqan, إِذَا رَأَتْهُمْ مِنْ مَكَانٍ بَعِيدٍ سَمِعُوا لَهَا تَغَيُّظًا وَزَفِيرًا. That when Jahannam sees them, the kuffar from a distance, سَمِعُوا لَهَا, they will hear from it تَغَيُّظًا وَزَفِيرًا. They will hear its fury and its roaring. Allah makes mention in Surah Qaf, and Allah says, يَوْمَ نَقُولُ لِجَهَنَّمَ هَلِ امْتَلَأْتِ وَتَقُولُ هَلْ مِن مَزِيدٍ. That on the day of Qiyamah, on that day when Allah will say to Jahannam, هَلِ امْتَلَأْتِ, have you been full? Have you been filled? Are you full now? And it will say, Hal min mazid, are there still more? Are there still people that we left to be put into Jahannam? So these two ayat of the Quran, Allah shows one, that Jahannam speaks, two, that Jahannam sees, three, that Jahannam gets angry. In a hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentions, and this is an authentic hadith reported by Imam at-Tirmidhi, Imam Ahmad and others, rahimahumullah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, تخرج عنق من النار يوم القيامة لها عينان تبصران. That on the day of Qiyamah, a neck, and Mullah Ali al-Qari rahimahullah, he explains that this is physical, real, because there's nothing to deny it from being a physical reality. So a long neck will emerge from Jahannam on the day of Qiyamah. لَهَا عَيْنَانِ تُبْصِرَانِ. It will have two eyes with which it sees. وَأُذُنَانِ تَسْمَعَانِ. It will have two ears with which it hears. وَلِسَانٌ يَنْطِقْ. And it will have a tongue with which it speaks. And it will say, يَقُولُ إِنِّي وُكِّلْتُ بِثَلَاثَةٍ. I have been placed in charge of three types of people, meaning three types of people to be entered into Jahannam. بِكُلِّ جَبَّارٍ عَنِيدٍ. I have been put in charge of taking every obstinate tyrant. وَبِكُلِّ مَنْ دَعَى مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ. And with everyone who calls on a God besides Allah. وَبِالْمُصَوِّرِينَ. And all those who make pictures, meaning those who make pictures of animate objects. Allah mentions in Surah Fajr, وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمْ. On that day, Jahannam will be brought. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes further in explaining this, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in the hadith, to give us an idea of the size of Jahannam, that Jahannam will be brought on that day of Qiyamah. It will have 70,000 reins by which it will be dragged. Each rein will be pulled by 70,000 angels. That makes it 4.9 billion angels that will just be tasked with dragging Jahannam. 4.9 billion angels is no small number by any stretch of the imagination. But the thing is that when people are put into Jahannam, they will not be the size that we are now. No, rather they will be transformed into giants. And this is understood from the hadith, wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained that the size of a kafir's molar tooth alone in Jahannam will be the size of Mount Uhud. So if your tooth is the size of a mountain, how massive must you not be? And if you are so big, and so many people of that size will be in Jahannam, then imagine how massive must Jahannam not be. There are many other ayat, ahadith, and statements of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum which speaks about Jahannam, its size, its punishments, its terrors, the likes of which would turn a child's hair grey if one were to actually see Jahannam for real. May Allah forgive us, protect us, and save us all from Jahannam and enter us into Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.